Oh, meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Okay. Right. Yes. So the idea is that just to summarize, the idea is that every piece of Lxd code you write, every sort of pattern or lexicon that you write, and every sort of way that you have of combining the patterns, you want to have some example of every possible combination. And that doesn't mean every possible pair. It just means that, for example, if you have your strategy for building teens, so 11 through 19, you want one example of that, and you want an example from just 1 through 10, and you want one example if your method of forming higher numbers is regular up to 100, then maybe you only want one example from between 20 and 100. But if it's irregular, then maybe you want an example of the regular pattern and also one example for each of the irregular ones. If you have a 2L rule, sorry?
Yeah, no, I just said I get it now. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, sorry, I'm repeating for Roma's sake. Yes, and if you have a 2L rule, this 2L rule applies in some contexts. You want some examples where it's supposed to apply, and you want some examples where it's not supposed to apply. The idea is to have complete coverage of all of the code that you've written. The reason for this, well, one reason for this is that this is proving to other experts that your system is working correctly. They look at the other experts don't understand the Lxd code and the 2L code, but they will be able to look at these tests and say, oh, that's the correct form for this analysis, for this gloss, or it's the incorrect form. The other part is that this is going to build your confidence when you're making changes later on, especially with 2L code. When you make a change, it applies to the entire lexicon, all of the words that you can recognize. It's very easy to adjust this in some subtle way and make a mistake so that now some of your forms are not correct. And you want to catch that immediately, ideally before you commit it. So that's why adding this to the make file to give you some opportunity to run all of these tests right away, right before you commit, is very important. And any other questions about how we'll use the tests, like why they'll be useful? Okay, so let's then get started. I guess that since not everybody has their test pairs yet, maybe I will do this with Russian from the example that I sent out before, and I'll show you how to. We'll test out together using it. And if you have already made your test pairs, then you can use your own language. And otherwise, I hope that you'll follow along with me. I don't know how realistic that is, but I'm hopeful. So does that make sense to people? Do you think that you'll be able to follow along?
We can try and just see if it works.
Okay. If you get lost or if you need more time, just tell me, and we can wait or answer some questions, something like this. So for now, I'll share the screen. Okay, so here I am. This is all old stuff. I'll move it away. Okay. And now I'm going to upload to some place where it's easy to download this example that I wrote before. Oh, first I should, first I need to update my copy of Lxd because Lxd has had some updates.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Should the text file for the test look like analysis colon word form or like word form column analysis? Which one should it be?
Both direction, either direction will be fine for us.
Okay.
So whichever direction you have, whichever direction you have, it's easy to reverse it. There's some subtle difference in what you will end up with, and I'll explain that as we go. But let's see, what is my example here? My example is form colon analysis. And so that means that we're going to be testing the analyzer. But if you have it backwards, then you can just test the generator instead.
Yeah, I have it backwards, so just.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, so I just updated Lxd on my computer. I hope that you all have updated versions of Lxd. I think that I sent some instructions in Telegram on what version you should expect to have. And now I'm uploading these files. Okay, so now I have some workspace. And here I'm typing in the path to the Lxd file. I hope it will download. There we go, it downloaded. If you don't want to download them, you can copy paste them from the email I sent. Okay, and then there's the script. That's the last thing that I need to make for myself. Okay, does everybody have their files in order? So let's see, you should have at least your Lxd code, your test files, and this compare file, this compare script.
Wait, what should be in the compare file? Because I don't have it.
It was in the email. It's the contents of a script, a bash script. So it looks like this. And if you don't have it yet, you can either download it from this address that I showed. I can copy paste it into Zoom. I don't know if that will help.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, now I have to figure out how to get the chat up. Participants. Oh God.
I should say wget and then this URL link.
Yes, so there's the URL. So if you like, you can copy paste that into a text file, or I can copy paste you the command that I used to download it.
Wait, so
my network is very slow because I'm doing this wireless today. Okay, there we go. And here's the command.
So I should.
So is that, did that work? Were you able to download it?
Yeah, I think so. And where is it now that I downloaded it?
Whatever folder you were in your terminal when you ran this command.
Okay, great.
So now you see, this directory used to be empty, and I ran 3 wget commands. There's the 3 wget commands. So here I can even just paste all of this.
Okay.
I don't know if that will, maybe that will be helpful for people. And so now I have these 3 files. I can compile the Lxd file, but so let's do that. Oops, I need to unset this. Let me do it again because it turned it into Latin. Okay, and let's take a look. Oh, I didn't fix the mistake with Miyaki snack, right?
Well, it looks all right.
Oh, it's fine. I think, didn't we decide that after that there should be Miyaki snack?
No, I think we decided that we don't need that actually. Well, it's in 50. In 50.
Right. That was our mistake. Yeah. Yes, my mistake. Okay,
so,
great.
So what's the command for comparing the files? I'm sorry. I just.
So I have this script here, compare.sh. That's a program that I can run using bash. And it if I don't give it any commands, any arguments, it tells me that I'm supposed to tell it an HFST file and my gold standard file. So let's try that. And where are my numbers? Right, there they are. Okay, so what it's saying is some things are missing here. So how does this whole program work? This line is something special to deal with. That's to deal with tags. So don't worry too much about this. What's interesting is here. So I'm not going to explain all of the included commands to you here, but what this is doing is it's building a transducer out of the test numbers. So you see it made a transducer here. You can see when I highlight something, yes? Or no? Can you see that I highlighted test numbers gold.text.hfst? Okay. The contents of this HFST file are just exactly these, exactly what's in this this text file. Oh, sorry, not exactly. It's the first column, and that's what this part of the command does. It gets the first column. Okay. Now the next step is that it composes the transducer it just built from the test files, from the test strings, with the test analyzer. With the analyzer. So what that's saying is that it's going to restrict to the forms that are written here. So it restricts our analyzer to those forms. And it writes that to, it then prints out all of the strings and writes that out. So let's look at those strings.
I'm sorry, I do not follow because I am too slow for that. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
What's the command for comparing the files again? Because I downloaded the file that you sent, the last one, and then, okay, then it's.
So if I run this compare.sh script, it tells me, it just spits out to me how I can use it. And what it's telling me is that.
If you run what?
So this compare.sh file, you downloaded this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I should just rename it, right? Because it's just it's called something.txt.
Oh yes, you should rename that. Sorry.
Now I get it. Okay.
if you ran this whole command that I sent, it would rename it for you. I didn't realize
okay.
that it hadn't been renamed.
Okay, so I renamed it, and now I should run this command, right? Like bash compare.sh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does it tell you how to use it?
Wait a second. Yes.
Great. And Danielle, were you able to get it to work also?
Yes, I were. Thank you.
Great. And Artyom?
Yes.
Okay. So this program is telling me that I need to give it an HFST file and some gold standard analysis. So let's see. I give it the HFST file. That's my that's this analyzer here. Oh, right. I didn't make an analyzer, did I? I'm supposed to be making an analyzer. I'm reading my email, and I'm supposed to make an analyzer here. I'm not supposed to. So these tests were for the analyzer and not for the generator. So I have to invert it. So here's my Lxd file. If you had some 2L rules, then you could use a make file and compile it into something which would have the name ANA. But here we don't have any 2L rules, so I'm using the Lxd file, and I'm saving it to rusnum.ana. Sorry, here would be gen for generator, right? If you compose the Lxd transducer with the 2L rules, then you get the generator. And to make the analyzer, you have to invert. Okay. So now I'll run with the analyzer and my sample analyses test. Okay. So this is the syntax that this script is expecting. That's what it told us. HFST file, gold standard. Here's my HFST file. And here are the analyses that it's supposed to provide. No output. I think maybe you noticed that there was a different result when I gave it the generator. So if I change this to be the generator, it gives me some output. It's saying that the transducer that I gave it and the gold standard that I gave it didn't agree. And it's telling me how they didn't agree here. It's saying, I expected this analysis, this analysis, and I didn't see it. I expected this analysis, I didn't see it. I expected this analysis. So it's saying that all of these are missing analyses, but I gave it the wrong. I gave it the wrong transducer.
Does it mean if I get a plus and then the analysis, like some of them are
If you get a
minuses
plus, then
and some of them are pluses?
yes. So if you get pluses, that means that there were some analyses that weren't expected. So there are even more analyses than were expected. So let's try to alter our list of tests. Okay. Let's add here what's it? Oops. I made the mistake of using Wi-Fi for this video call, so my connection is very slow. And it's quite obvious when I'm trying to type here. Okay, so here's an analysis, a potential analysis for 20. So I saved. And now I'll run this comparison, this analysis again. I'll run it on the correct transducer. And you see here it's telling me that 20 is not a correct, 20 was missing from my analyzer. My analyzer was not able to perform that, was not able to provide this answer.
Wait, so the output of this command is like the analysis that should have been there, but it's not in your test file.
Right. So the ones that start with minus are in the test and are not in the transducer. And now let me add a mistake to our transducer. I'll intentionally add a mistake. I will get rid of the irregular tag on blah. Okay. There.
And the ones with the plus are in the transducer, but not in the test?
Yes, that's right. So in a second, we're going to see my transducer has a mistake. It produces an incorrect analysis. And it's going to, and this compare script will also show me this. So there, I changed it. I will recompile. I have to invert. If I had a make file, this would be much easier. I'll write one in a second. Okay, and now I'll run the comparison again. Something was wrong. So what's wrong here? What's wrong is that I'm only testing the analyzer and not the generator. So the Dvinatset appears, but there's nothing here that says that it should check that Dvanatset isn't there. So let's write a test for the generator also. I will write it by hand, I think. So let's see. So there's my test numbers gold. And I will write test numbers generator. Okay. And let's see. I will list all the ways that Dean can generate. Well, here I'm only using, I only have nominative case, so, and singular number, so, and masculine gender. Okay, and here I will give, now I'll give this analysis for Dvinatset. Okay. So I saved it, just those 3 tests for now. And now I'll use this compare.sh to look at the generator. Oops, that's not the generator. I have to give it an HFST file. There we go. And so now what it's telling me is that indeed 12 is generated, but so is 12. So if it starts with a space, then this was some pair that the transducer recognizes. The plus is something that the transducer produced but wasn't in the test.
Mhm.
And the minus is something that that was in the test that was not produced by the transducer.
I think I have some kind of a problem because all of my forms are marked with plus or minus, like all of them. But I just checked, and some of them are I think identical to the ones in my transducer. Like I just compared it to FST to strings, and they look the same, I think, but they're still marked as wrong. And I'm not sure what the deal is.
Maybe you want to share your screen?
Yeah, okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
So here's my FST to strings, right? So for example, the first form is agui, which has two glosses, like numeral and non-human, and then the form is agui ba, right? And then here's the output from my test, and the first form is agui numeral and human. Oh wait, and non-human. Here it is. I just highlighted it, and it's agiba, and it's marked with a minus. So what's the problem?
Let's see. So that's very interesting. Are you sure that you're using the same? Okay, so stupid question. Is it the same? Are you using the same palichka in both places?
Well, I copied it, so it should be the same. Well, it's the same thing in the word forms without palichka. So, for example, there's bij, right, and
Oh, I see.
numeral.
I see now the problem, I think. Well, at least maybe I see the problem. So if you look lower on your screen, you will see Agiba again with a plus.
Oh, yeah.
That's very interesting, yes? So I wonder if maybe there's a mistake in my program.
But yours worked fine and you used the same command, so why should there be a difference between mine and yours?
Okay, what if you make a new pair test file with just that one line?
Okay, so I'm gonna stop the screen sharing and then turn it on again when I'm done. Okay. So,
Okay, yeah.
okay, with just one word. Yeah.
Yeah, just this Agiba.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna copy the palichka this time.
Okay, yeah. Just to be safe, everybody has a different idea of how Palichka should be encoded. By the way, I wanted to maybe now is a good opportunity to debate this with Garik. Garik, how do you feel about Palichka? There's an uppercase and a lowercase, don't you think?
Yes, there is lowercase and uppercase palichka, but the most common. So I would use one symbol for it everywhere, and then replace one as a number, all palichkas into one symbol. I think the most common usage is I, Latin I.
I would. So I, as I expected, I disagree with you.
Okay.
I would like to. Well, so one thing is that I think I feel that we should use all our words should be, unless they are proper nouns, should be all lowercase. I mean, I guess really what we should do is we should follow the writing convention for all of our words in our Lxd file, assuming sort of working under the assumption that these are not sentence initial words. So by default, I assume this means that there will be no capital letters at all.
Even in proper names?
No, for proper names, there will, but the sort of implicit assumption is that for aside from this, there are all lowercase letters. And I would use the Unicode lowercase Palichka for this. I'm sure that nobody has this on any keyboard. But I'll write it to you in Telegram.
Such a pity. I'm always thinking that there should be a Palichka, like a key in the keyboard for Palichka. That
Well,
would be so...
I added one for mine, but
Really?
okay, so there you go. I sent them. I think that lowercase Palichka looks very disgusting in all of my fonts. It looks like it looks to me like Latin little l. But okay. I wish there was somebody who is designing fonts that made this look very cool. But what's really important is that we get some reasonable encoding that we think is going to survive the next 50 years. And I think that for this, using the correctly cased Palichka could be important. For example, there are programs which attempt to perform tokenization where they're splitting words, and they use whether a letter is upper or lowercase to help decide this. And they might not be so, like, including some special rule to handle Palichka seems like it will make things harder for NLP developers working with this language. But about use of things like the number 1 and Latin I, we can correct this using sort of post-composition transducers later. So I would like to sort of capture the most orthographically pure version of the language. Okay, Dasha, were you able to create this file?
Yes, and then I tried to run the compare command, and it had no output. Like.
Then it says you're perfect. Then it says
wait, I only had one. I only had. Wait. I only had one word form in my test file, right? In the TXT file.
If there's no output, that means that it found no difference.
But how can that be? Because my generator generates a lot of forms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my test file only had one form. So how can there be no difference?
So anything that you don't include in your tests, it considers outside of its scope. It's not interested in if we wanted, we could just copy the output of FST to strings into a text file, but this isn't very useful. What we want is something that's human produced. We want gold standard, not the standard produced by our transducer, because it's supposed to check the transducer. So this has to be higher quality.
What does the plus sign stand for then? Because like the plus sign is when something is in the like in the transducer, but it's not in the test file.
So the plus sign means that, so the test file is a pair of input output. For a generator, the input is an analysis, it's a gloss, and the output is word form. For the analyzer, it's the reverse. The word form is the input. The plus means that there was an input provided, but an unexpected output for that.
Aha. So the plus is when the input is the same, but there is a different output in the test.
Right.
No, in the no, wait.
The test, the output by the, so the first step of this script restricts our transducer to only the inputs shown in the test file. Then it looks at all strings that this restricted transducer is capable of producing. So if you're testing your analyzer, what it does is it first only looks at word forms that it has truth for, that it has gold analyses. Then it compares the analyses that your transducer provides for these word forms and the analyses that were provided as gold analysis. If it finds analyses, if there are missing gold analyses, it shows this with a minus sign. If there are extra gold analyses in your transducer, gold analyses which were not predicted by your test file, then those get a plus sign. The reverse applies for generators. It first restricts to only generating these glosses. It then looks at all of the forms that you've written in your test file and compares the forms that are produced by the generator. Does that make more sense?
I think so. So I'm sorry, but once again, so the minus means that if like an input is in the test file, but it's not found at all in the transducer file, right?
Right. Yes. So this analysis was not. So this pair was not part of your transducer. So it's saying that your transducer lacks something.
Yeah.
So that's underproduction. One way of thinking about this, yes.
Means that the input was in the transducer, but it had different output than your test file.
That's right.
Okay.
So the transducer, one thing to remember is that the transducer is many to many. So it's possible that you have one. So for example, it's possible that there's, for an analyzer, it's possible that a word form is ambiguous, has more than one possible analysis. So if you give the analyzer some gold sample, and your gold sample doesn't include all possible analyses of that, then it will complain at you. It will say, this transducer produced an analysis that you didn't anticipate. So this one interpretation is that this is provocation, that you should go find a language expert and ask them, is this a possible analysis? And if not, that's telling you you have a bug in your transducer. And conversely, if there's a minus, then that's saying that your test sample, your gold sample, asserts that some analysis is possible, and your transducer doesn't recognize that, doesn't agree.
Okay. Okay, I think I get it. So I'm sorry, I'm so lost. So my file with like one string only worked, but I copied it and pasted it in the big test file, right? Instead of what used to be there for this word before. And that compare test doesn't work still. It's like, it just keeps disagreeing with this line, even though I changed it and it worked before when there was one word only.
Okay, it's very interesting. I recommend that you open an issue on
Okay.
your repository, and we'll take a look together sometime in the future. So now I want to show how to integrate this into your makefile. Unless there are other questions about how to interpret the output of this program.
Will we have something like stars to indicate that these forms shouldn't be produced?
So the program is not. Oh, I understand now. What you mean? We can do that. Yes. So let's first write the makefile, and then we can look at how to do that. Okay.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah, future is also fine. Well, let's write the makefile, and then if we have time, we can talk about this now. And if we don't have time, then we'll talk about it later. I can write some more scripts. I do want to get to the point where we have more sophisticated tools, but this is sort of the least sophisticated part. And sort of next steps are having it, having the program, having the comparison script analyze how distant your gold sample is from the strings that your transducers is producing. So when I am working on my on this analyzer for says, it suggests to me what it thinks might be the error, or sort of points to me some ideas for where the error might be by analyzing the distance between the nearest suggestion recognized by the transducer. But I don't want to do that right now either. Other questions? Okay, let's go then to making the makefile. So I'm sharing my screen again, and I have two sets of tests. Maybe I'll rename the original numbers gold to numbers analysis gold, just so that I don't get confused about this. Now I'm going to I'm going to write a makefile. Okay, so so what do I want to start with? I want to start with instructions on how to make the analyzer. So to make the analyzer, I need the generator. Oh, I can use these nice variables. I don't know if you guys spent some time looking carefully at makefiles, or if you just copied the one that I sent you at some point. But you can use these variables. This is for the input here, and this is for the output. So, and remember the output is the name of the recipe, that the target of the recipe. That's this part, and the list of inputs is here. Comes after the colon. So this depends on rusnum.lxd. Okay. And now I'm going to make an imaginary. I'm going to make an imaginary target called check ANA, check analyzer, and this is a fake file. This file will never be produced, so you shouldn't think that there will ever be a file check ANA. It's just the name of the make command. So you can think of it sort of like git commit make check ANA. So what do I need in order to check the analyzer? I need the analyzer. Oops. I also need the gold. And also, I guess I need the compare script. Maybe I won't include that because I'm not going to be changing the compare script very much. In order to run it, I run bash compare.sh, and then I run the HFST. I give it the HFST file and the gold analysis file. I can make one for checking the generator just the same way. Oh, but it's not called gen, right? It's called Lxd.hfst. And this variable with the upper caret, with this upward, I don't know, what do you call it? Circumflex, maybe. It just takes all of the dependencies and sticks them on the command line. So this is equivalent to running bash compare.sh rusnum.lxd.hfst test numbers gen gold.txt. Okay. Any questions? I'll send this to the internet so that you can download it or copy paste it. If I can figure out how to open the chat again.
I'm not sure what the check gen and check Anna means. Is it just the name of like the rule of?
Yes, it's the name of the rule. So we're going to ask make to perform these manually. So it won't be part of just typing make and hitting enter. Make and hit enter only produces the analyzer. That's the first guy here. I'm going to have to explicitly ask to check the analyzer. Oh, and it detected this error. Right, it detected another error also. So at this point, I have two errors. Maybe I'll.
So why doesn't it do it manually? Why do we have to explicitly like run this command?
Because well, you can add this also to your default goal. I forget the syntax for this. Does somebody happen to have it memorized? It's a dot. It starts with a dot. Dot default goal, and I have to have that colon. Yes. Okay.
And then it will be done automatically without like explicitly stating the.
Right. So now it's telling me that that I have this error here, and my transducer is missing this dvatsit. Okay, so I'll add dvatsit then. I'm going to be very lazy, and I'm just going to add it sort of by hand. So let's see. So I'm not gonna actually write anything. I'm not going to write the correct combinatorics. I'm just going to write this by hand. Let's see. I want to write this. And then what? Okay. I hope that I didn't make any mistakes. Let's make. Great. So now the analysis. So what is this telling me? It's telling me that the analysis check passed. All of my analyses are correct. The generator check hasn't passed though, so now it's stuck on some new mistake, and it's telling me that I'm producing an extra form. It's telling me that the extra form I produce is 12. 12. I don't know how to stress a word that doesn't exist. So let's get rid of that. And the way that I remember how to do that is I was declaring this irregular. Let's see. And now I run make again, and all the tests pass.
Maybe you also want to remove this.
These temporary files?
This is weird because it looks like you have in your Lxd files two way of generating this same thing.
Let's see. Which?
Because you added this manually via set sites and so on.
Uh-huh.
And this should work, and another way around.
You mean I should write some clever Lxd code to produce all of these forms? 20, 30.
No, sorry. Maybe I'm just no, because I was thinking that you produce the same form 20 within the last line of this Lxd code.
I don't. This is for this would be for 12. So these are teens, and 20 is not a teen.
No, sorry. That's
okay. Any questions?
I still don't get the makefile command.
You still don't get which?
Which makefile command do we use to create that? So just
so let me so I changed it slightly. So let me upload this new version. So let's see. So there's a version you can download and rename to makefile.
Yeah, but I guess I just don't get the syntax. But like in our makefiles, there were like the file extensions, then the column, and then like the extension of the desired output.
Yes.
And here is just like the name of the rule, and then or like the name of this part of the pipeline, and then the name of the file.
So your question is about why checkgen is here?
Yeah.
So make is doing something very, very stupid, and this is one of the beautiful things about it. It does the absolutely most stupid thing that you can do, and it happens to be very useful that it's doing something very stupid. So what's it doing? Let's say that I write make check ANA. Okay, what it does is it first goes and look for the check ANA file. It says, this file doesn't exist, I have to make it. It then looks, how do I make check ANA? Well, I need the analyzer, and I need the test data for analyzers. And then I run this compare program. Notice that at no point does it actually look to see if check ANA was ever made. All it did was it looked up, found the recipe, ran the recipe, and as long as the recipe doesn't error, it declares victory.
Okay.
So the fact that this check ANA is a fake file, never exists, is completely fine.
Okay.
If I were to create it, don't do this. If I were to create it, then it wouldn't ever do anything. Well, that's not true. It will do something if, so I can, let's see, I can make this check ANA file. And then I can pretend that I changed the Lxd file. So with this touch command, it creates a file, and if it doesn't create a file, if the file already exists, it just pretends that it's changed. So you can see if I look at the date here, the Lxd file now says 1640, even though I didn't actually change it. So now I run make, and it actually it realizes that it thinks that the Lxd file has changed, so it recompiles everything and it runs all the checks. But now if I do it again, the check ANA file doesn't get its timestamp updated. Okay, that's fine. I don't know if you followed that explanation, but the point sort of stands. You shouldn't make a check ANA file. Check ANA is just sort of one way to think about it is that it's a fake target for make. Does it help, this explanation?
I'm not sure yet. I hope it did.
So I'll say this.
I'm gonna try to figure it out. I'll just look at the make file that you sent, and I'm just gonna try to get what it does.
Okay.
Dasha, maybe you have just problems with the syntax itself?
Oh yes, and that too. I'm just not like fluent in it yet, I think, and that's why it seems so complicated. But okay, I'm gonna try to.
Okay, yeah, take a look, and if you still have trouble understanding this, then let me know, and I'll try to write some sort of tutorial that explains what's going on. I wonder if, so I can try doing something like make D. So this is maybe not useful. Okay. No, I don't see anything. I don't see anything that sort of is helpful immediately. What I wanted was something which tells me what is make doing, and if you add debug, it tells you everything that make is doing, but somehow this is too much information, so it's not really helpful. Okay, so but what's the overall point here? The point is that now we have these tests wired into our make file. So now the default, I changed the default goal to be check. Check runs the two sets of tests: check ANA, check gen. Check ANA is checking that that our analyzer is working correctly. Check gen is checking that our generator is working correctly. And it just calls this compare sh script with the transducer and the appropriate gold test set. Because if you're wondering how does it know to build how does it know how to build the analyzer now, that's recorded in the dependency tree here. So check depends on check ANA, check gen. Check gen depends on the generator. The generator depends on the Lxd source. And so if the Lxd source changes, it knows that it has to rebuild the generator. And that means that it always runs check gen, but the rebuild will be triggered and then it will run the tests. Same thing for the analyzer.
Is it possible to add text? For instance, there is a makefile tags. So if you
Makefile tags.
So for instance, is it possible to add something like tag that will say always generate checkgen, always generate check any? Okay, another way. Is
Okay.
it possible to run makefile inside the makefile? This should, isn't it?
That's theoretically possible, but be careful that you don't end up with an infinite loop.
Yes.
Like sort of makefile, like make calls, make calls, make calls, make infinitely deep.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that it won't just crash your computer if that happens. Like I'm not convinced that Linux's protections are clever enough to prevent you from doing this. This kind of attack has a special name. It's called a fork bomb. Because fork is what's called when a program executes another program, executes a subprogram. It's called forking. But I don't understand why you would want to do this.
In order to avoid this behavior if you have check NA and check gen in your computer.
There's some way to tell make that it shouldn't do this. Let's see, I don't have this program and I don't know how to use info. Make.
But we actually can add it to makefile. So we can add to the makefile the command that will remove those files if they exist.
Okay, so phony targets is what we want probably. Prerequisites of phony are considered to be phony targets. Make will run the recipe unconditionally. So I can write phony here.
Dot phony.
And now if I make this check ANA file. Oh no, come on. Oh, probably. Oh, I see. Not like this. It's like this. Okay. There we go. Now it runs it no matter what. I can make check ANA very new. It still runs check ANA. So maybe you want to use this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want I'm really almost finished, I promise. Are there any other questions?
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
I probably missed what the difference between the two test sets is, specifically between the one named Anna Gold and Jen Gold.
So Gen Gold is a list of glosses together with every possible form of those glosses. So maybe there are situations where you have a gloss which has multiple acceptable realizations. for example, due to some regional variations in writing. That's you would want to include every possible form for each one of those glosses. For the analysis file, it's the opposite. You have a list of forms, and you wish to provide every possible analysis for these forms. So the idea is that with each of these, I'll show you the analysis ones. The idea is that I'm choosing some forms, and I'm going to list all possible analyses. So the forms that I choose are the first column, and the possible analyses are the second. That's where the asymmetry is, and that's what the difference is. That what the first column, what comes before the colon, is always the list that the restriction list. So I'm restricting the analyzer to these forms. And then for everything that appears in the first column, I'm supposed to provide all possible second column values. So for the case of the analyzer, the first column is forms, the second column is analyses. I have to provide all analyses, a complete set of analyses for every form that I give. For the generator, for every gloss that I give, I'm supposed to give every possible form. Does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you. And could you please open the GenGold txt so that I could see how it looks?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I understand now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Yeah, so the columns are swapped here. For the gen, it's always the first column is what you're restricted to, and you're supposed to fill out completely the second column. So all possible. So if there were two possible analyses in the analysis list, I would have 2 lines. They would have the same first column because the form is the same, but different second columns. Analysis is different. Okay, so the last thing that I want to do is I want to show you how to hook this up to Git so that whenever you make a commit, you run the tests. Okay, so I ran git init on this repository, and that makes a .git folder. Inside of .git is a hooks folder. In there is a sample pre-commit script. I'm going to make my own pre-commit script, not a sample. And I'm just going to say that this first line here is some magic, which tells Linux that this is a bash script, that it should run with bash. And the rest here is just the command make check. So if make check fails, Git will abort the commit. In order to tell Git that it's permitted to run this pre-commit script, you have to mark it executable. The command you use for that is chmod +x. So now we can test it. Hooks pre-commit. Okay, it ran the checks. Let's try adding some files here. I can add the make file, the compare.sh, the Lxd file, and the tests. Okay, let's see if I did this correctly. Okay, you see it ran the tests before it let the commit go through. Let's add a mistake. Let's add a mistake to our. Let's add this mistake back to our Lxd file. I'm going to again pretend that dwa is also regular. So now I have an extra form I'll have an extra form for 12. I'll have 12. And now Git will not let me make this commit. I have to resolve this inconsistency between my tests and my Lxd. It refuses. So this is some great strategy for preventing yourself from making mistakes, from committing mistakes. What it's saying is that either you have to sign off that 12 is a legitimate form, or you have to alter your Lxd file to get rid of this illegitimate form. So I will write, I guess, an email in which I explain how this git commit script works, where to put it. Any questions about that? This technique has a is a very simple form of an important methodology in software development called continuous integration. So it's testing your work as it's getting committed. Okay, that's all I wanted to say today. If you guys have questions, I'm happy to talk to them. Otherwise, I think we can sign off. Okay. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.